What's your living well is the best revenge story? I've been criticized, shamed, dismissed, and shouted down by trolls my entire career because I'm a feminist woman who writes about sexuality on the internet. Getting a book deal felt like a huge fuck you to them all. Probably when I split up with my ex-fiancé after he cheated on me with someone at his place of work. I lost a load of weight through stress and treated myself to some new clothes. I got a long overdue haircut. I got a new career, a car, bought a new piano and a house because I no longer had to financially support him. I bumped into him about 9 months after we broke up when everything was going well for me. He had no job, looked like crap and had the worst dye job I've ever seen, so bad I actually doubled over with laughter. He scuttled off looking miserable and I walked away feeling like I was lucky I was no longer with him. After my ex dumped me, I decided I'm going to do everything I want to do and can afford. I lost 20 pounds because I climb mountains, I travel all the time, and anytime a friend wants to meet up for a social event I say yes. Honest to God, I look at photos of him and he looks miserable and every single time, it just makes me smile. The best revenge in the world is fulfilling your own dreams and living the life you always wanted to live. My ex and I broke up a few years ago and I was pretty devastated. Since then, I've bought a condo, got a dog, got promoted, traveled, and am generally living an awesome life. He got a one-night stand that he didn't even like, pregnant and now lives with her and their son and is unemployed. I think I won. From what I can tell via social media, at least one of my former bullies has been unsuccessful with MLMs. I'm here to read comments. Love a good living well story. He dumped me for being poor, living within my means, and said I could never afford to live in a luxury apt with him. He was right about the luxury apartment. But I ended up getting a gorgeous apt in the same city we were looking at, with 0 roommates, he has 3, parking for my new car, he was giving me shit that my previous car was a POS, and a deck. A full-size deck. It's unheard of for my part of the city. None of the luxury apts he looked at, in his price range, even included a balcony. If he could see me now driving through town on my way to sunbathe on my deck lol. 2 of my high school classmates said women shouldn't join the military. I just got out of the Marine Corps. They both joined the Chair Force. And #X200B. No actual hate toward the Air Force. They have a different mission and are far more focused on academics than physical strength. But both those boys were firmly convinced that no woman ever could be stronger than any single man, exact words from them. I had to do 3 pull-ups to qualify and I can do 7. The Air Force doesn't require pull-ups at all. My ex-boyfriend said my art wasn't good. He said there was no point in me going to university and I would never show my art anywhere. Well, I've won many awards for my artwork. Excelled in university and on my way to becoming an art teacher. And my work is hanging in multiple local galleries. I also do commissions and have sold original work. Fuck him. The jealous loser. My ex, who was really, spectacularly mean and awful to me, found out I was dating somebody new through internet stalking me. He showed up to my apartment one day, walked inside, and began to ask if the new guy had pretty much everything he was self-conscious about not having. Is he tall? Yep. Does he have a beard? Yep. Does he have a good job? Yep. Does he treat you better? Exponentially. Is his dick bigger? Yes, actually. After all that, he asked me to marry him. I turned that offer down, hard. Then I told him he had to leave, because I was having people over to rehearse a play I wrote that had recently won a shit ton of awards, so. That was a good day. Grew up in a very misogynistic household. Stepfather would regularly forbid me to study, tried to sabotage my university plans and once told me that my brother's educations were more important than mine because they were going to be the future breadwinners of their families. Ended up leaving at 19 and never looked back. Fast forward to now and I have my PhD viva in 2 days, fingers crossed, and teach at the university. He on the other hand is 6 years into a 13-year prison sentence. Multiple parents of friends of mine growing up thought I was a bad kid and judged me and would say stuff to their kids, other parents, and even to my face about what a loser I was going to be. Fast forward to now, we're all in our 20s. Friends all grew up and had kids either in high school or right after, work for MLMs, no education, drug addiction, divorced, etc. I'm in a healthy, long-term relationship, no kids, obtained a bachelor's degree with a 4.0. I hope the parents see me being successful and regret judging me. Because if I was anything less they would have said, "See, I knew it." P.S. There's nothing wrong with being divorced, working for MLMs and all that, but that's just some of the stuff I would hear them bashing growing up, so it's ironic. I'm employed as an aerial photography pilot of a small aircraft, Cessna 206, and I flew over my garbage ex-boyfriend's hellhole of a town last week. Thriving. My ex's family didn't like me because I was low income, and had a low-status job while living at my grandma's. His mom and sister thought I was lazy for living at my grandma's, even though I was a single mom, working part-time, and caring for my grandma with advanced Alzheimer's. After we broke up, my grandma was moved to a nursing home, and I was working several part-time jobs when I finally landed an amazing position with a highly regarded government entity. Now I make a decent salary, benefits, and a pension. No one can call me poor white trash ever again. I never got to show off my success to them, but living well is indeed the best revenge. He would be so jealous of my awesome job. Grin grin grin. My boyfriend Kyle of 3 years developed a relationship with my best friend Kathy during our fresh year college. Kathy was dating Kyle's best friend Joe at the time, which worked out great because we'd go on double dates all the time, and Joe and I were very close friends since middle school. After learning of Kyle and Kathy's relationship, they lost all their friends from our hometown. Joe started visiting the college I went to more often. After they cheated with each other, they started dating. And did I mention Kyle lived across the street from my parents, and it was fantastic seeing Kathy's car there during college breaks? They broke up after about 6 months, shocker, and the next year, 2012, Joe and I started dating. We're now engaged and Kyle and Kathy still have no friends. I got married, live in a beautiful apartment, immigrated to a new country, and am now trying to have a baby. My violent ex has been doing a 2-year program for 4 years now. Moved back home to live with his mom in a small town where everyone has cut him out because of what he did to me and his other exes, and is about to enter his 30s with not much to show for it. I am rooting for him though. He's talented with big dreams. He just needs to follow through. But me? I'm following through because no one is waiting at home to hit me for having too much fun or working late or seeing friends. Mine isn't perhaps as dramatic as some amazing stories here. My previous relationship was quite toxic and years of gaslighting really made me think I was crazy, and that I must be really difficult to live with. Love. Turns out it wasn't true. I've moved in with a flatmate and it's the easiest thing ever. I found a new boyfriend and it couldn't be a more relaxed and gentle relationship. My revenge is that I'm so much happier without him. My personal and romantic life is chill and I'm on track to buy a house alone this year. Best friend, for 10 years tells me on my birthday that I'm a toxic person whom she has essentially hated for a long time but felt bad for me because I was generally able and can't make friends. The 2 years following I've gotten a promotion, moved out of my parents' house, found a great partner, got in shape, celebrated 3 years addiction-free and we're working on buying some property. She did a stint in jail for stealing coworkers' paychecks from her part-time job and still lives with her mom while she's paying off the fines. Oh, and I have plenty of friends. Broke up with my high school boyfriend a couple months into college. He was pretty controlling and emotionally manipulative. The type of work I wanted to would never make me rich, but required a master's degree. He would constantly give me shit about it, saying, "You're going to go to school for 5 years to do that?" I graduated debt-free and started my career at 23 while he was delivering pizzas to my parents' house. I dated a guy for 2 years, he didn't let me drive, have friends, and made me quit a job I really liked because he hated my coworkers. He was constantly emotionally and mentally abusive, and ended up breaking up with me. I now live with a couple friends, make insanely good money at my job, just got into college to start my dream of becoming a veterinarian, own my car, and my boyfriend is excelling in the military. Smile. I got dumped and left in a town where the public transport had stopped for the day, had to call a friend to pick me up and they were an hour away. I have now since become a kick-ass pole dance fitness enthusiast. I placed in studio comps, which is hard. I lost weight, stopped self-harming out of spite lol, and I have found a beautiful partner who treats me like an absolute queen. All of the men I have seen since him have been athletic and super hot. He always did wanna get fit, tears of joy. Was told I would never do well in school. Am halfway through grad school. I've been accepted to speak at 3 professional conferences. I'm the student government secretary. I have an essay being published in an anthology on history. I'm currently collaborating with a professor in NYC for an article about child welfare policies, and I'm a GRA for a major research center on campus, and I'm a straight A student. I am doing well in school. My ex-boyfriend was super abusive and said to me when I tried breaking up with him the first time, "Where would you be without me?" while crying crocodile tears. Right now, I'm working on my master's. I graduated magna cum laude for my BA. I have a wonderful relationship with my current boyfriend who is nothing like my ex, and is a cutie. I live in an apartment I pay for, and I have a beautiful cat who is my precious baby. Last I knew, he was doing cocaine, smoking a boatload of weed, still working on his undergrad degree, working odd jobs at Pizza Hut and UPS, and living with his toxic family. So I feel like I have made a good life for myself without him. My ex in college was from LA, showed me the city and I fell in love with it. A few months later I caught him on Tinder talking to other women. I dumped him and was pretty upset for a while. Post-graduation I still really wanted to move to LA and find a job. Eventually I found my dream job and moved there 2 years after we broke up. I'm still in said dream job and loving my life. In the meantime he got evicted from an apartment, is unemployed, and moved back to his parents' house. I was being forced to marry a guy the first didn't love. He fell in love with me but I didn't love him at all. It was an arranged engagement basically. He was abusive and our families said I was wrong for not loving him back and that I would never get anyone who loved me this much. I stood my ground and finally got out of the relationship. Everyone told me I'd live to regret it and that it was a huge mistake. A while after, I found the love of my life and we married pretty quickly. 4 years and 1 beautiful child later and we're more in love than ever. We live peacefully in a beautiful city away from our families. My high school sweetheart left me with a small baby about 20 years ago. I went back to school and moved on to have a great career. After struggling with near poverty alone for over a decade, I met my husband. I'm happily married for 11 years to the man of my dreams, who is an amazing father to my son, who is now all grown up and the kindest soul on the planet. Ex never changed, ended up in jail a few times and can't even hold a job. We live in my dream house, not only because I'd never have dreamed I could in a house like this, or be debt-free and own anything for that matter, but because it's full of love, trust and no one yelling at me that I'm a loser. I was with an abusive partner for a few years. We would often stay at a family member's cabin. He'd always say, "Wouldn't it be great if you inherited this cabin and we could live here?" He also was always trying to get me to turn over my bank details to him, which I refused. After I finally threw him out, my relative gifted me the cabin, so no one had to die, yay, and I received a hefty settlement and lost a bunch of weight. I made a lot of good friends and I'm in a good place. My ex was homeless after I threw him out. He was in this country illegally. He finally had to go back to his country, which is really rainy and snowy, which he hates. Bullies in middle and high school call me a girl. Am now a happy girl. Thanks bullies, smiling face with hearts. All these stories give me hope that I will come out the other side smile. Dated a guy for 2 years, who throughout the entire relationship always doubted me and would say how I didn't deserve him. Oh, and he cheated on me. A lot. After he eventually said I didn't satisfy him, I broke things off. Fast forward 3 years, I started working out, am 3 years into my bachelor's degree in a field I love, met an amazing guy, and love my job. He got a girl pregnant and now works 7 days a week to support her and their child. Ran into him the other day and couldn't even recognize him because of how tired and worn down he looked. Though our relationship sucked, I truly hope things go better for him. After I got dumped and ghosted over text after an almost 3-year relationship, I wished well for him and took myself out of the deep dark depression hole I was in and am now thriving and flourishing in every aspect of life. It's important to not dwell but instead move forward. Saves a lot of heartache. Finally divorced my deadbeat husband that lived off me, was more like a mother-son relationship. Lost weight, got really into my hobbies, roller skate every day, live in a luxury apartment so I feel like I'm living in a hotel, bought and drive a $20,000 dream electric motorcycle, am having tons of fun dating successful single dudes in their 30s. I am super comfortable in my career, so most of my energy is spent on my hobbies. I am so effing happy. He is unemployed and dating a girl the same age as his mother. I don't want to make this long, but all my life my father has torn me down while praising my sister the whole way. My senior year of high school all I heard about was how I'm too lazy for a job, not friendly enough to be hired, didn't deserve anything for my graduation because it didn't seem like I cared enough in the first place, etc. etc. Immediately moved out, got a job, saved up for a car, got car, months later became manager at my first job, moved into a new place, and have not since relied on him for anything. Suddenly he's so proud of me and wants to tell me all about my good work ethic and how smart I am. SMFH, I hope he chokes on those words he said to me when I was 17. I had a very sexist boss when I worked at an auto parts company, years ago. I finally had had enough of his comments about my body, etc., and found a job at a bank. Their job paid the same, and when I told my boss I was quitting he laughed at me and told me how stupid I was for taking a job for the same money. Years later, I was getting gas at the gas station across the street from the bank I worked at. I'd become manager at a private client, red, $bank. I look up and guess who is the gas attendant pumping my gas? Yep, my old, asshole boss. My ex ruined my life a couple of years ago. I was devastated to the point of almost ending my life. I went to therapy to get my life back together, and in the meantime I finished my studies, got an amazing boyfriend and a healthy relationship, got an awesome job. I have never had so much fun in my life. In the meantime my ex lost his entire circle of friends that he had to look for friends abroad, failed his studies multiple times and has a lot of delay. His looks abandoned him. I'm usually not the type to judge people on how they look, but this guy let himself go. Wow. I don't recognize him anymore. He looks so old. Every time I hear about his life falling apart a little further I can't help but enjoy feeling awesome about mine. Karma did well. Well, let's see. I don't owe a CC company $26,000, I get to keep my job, and I am okay, downright happy, living alone. My ex cannot say the same to any of those. Also he better hope his new girlfriend's parents are rich enough to bail him out. Again. This is gonna sound petty. My ex and his girl found out I was engaged. They posted on Snapchat their promise rings. That day, I followed his girl cause she was my friend. Get someone who buys you this, was their caption. Keep in mind my ex was abusive as fuck. I posted a picture of my bigger engagement ring and said, get someone who treats you well. My ex-husband divorced me for some girl he friended over the internet. He went to meet her after paperwork was filed. He found out that she lied to him and wasn't a freshman in college but her mother. He came to the courthouse on the date of divorce to try to convince me to take him back. I had already moved on with dating and was with my boyfriend, now husband of near 15 years. Last I heard that he was on wife number 4 or 5. Left an abusive relationship after a long time. He tried to make me jealous and got a new girlfriend 2 weeks after and would try to walk by me with her holding his hand and showing affection, and I just acted like I didn't see them. With every lap he took, he got closer to me. Then after about 4, he just stopped right in front of me and stared at me with a dirty face, and his girlfriend was offended and it sparked an argument. Anyways, I later got a text from one of his friends, a screenshot of his conversation with his girlfriend. He was talking to her like he used to talk to me, and she told him, listen, if you don't want to date me, then don't date me. I don't care because you're acting childish, and to be honest, crazy. It made me laugh. I got fired and within 6 days had a new job that pays $20,000 more and is equivalent to 2 promotions from my old job. My ex and one of my best friends had a joint 30th birthday party. I brought my then boyfriend, now husband. He was reluctant to come because he hated that this ex had cheated on me. My ex's parents thought I'd amount to nothing. I spoke to his dad at the party and he asked what I was up to. I told him about my highly successful career in one of the world's top tech companies. His jaw literally dropped. Then my ex proceeded to get drunk, follow me around, and then cry to people about how he thinks my boyfriend is so cool and he wonders if they could ever be friends. Meanwhile, he and his long-term girlfriend were in the process of breaking up. I really enjoyed that party. My whole life I was told I wouldn't amount to anything. I was gonna drop out of high school. I wouldn't get my diploma. I was gonna end up pregnant. I was going to get dumped. I was going to end up back at home with my parents. Well, I have my own house. I am not pregnant. I don't have any children. I graduated. I am a vet technician. I have a good job I love. And I am in a steady relationship and hoping to get married by 2022. I love my life and I am never moving back in with my parents. This whole thread is just women supporting women and it overflows with positivity and it makes me so happy. All you ladies are strong, whether you made it or are struggling right now. You're all a bunch of badass people and I'm rooting for you. This is a little thing but was really validating. My ex wouldn't let me help her build IKEA furniture because she didn't think I could handle it and me helping would make the whole thing too stressful. It was part of a larger pattern of her not believing in me, and I'd convinced myself that she was right and I was just incompetent, stupid. We split up for a lot of reasons but actually stayed on pretty good terms. I moved to a city I love and built an entire IKEA bedroom set, including a few complicated pieces, all on my own. I'm in love with the space I created for myself, and it was a really awesome confidence boost that I'd been capable all along. I just enjoy looking extra hot when I'm around someone that I know is attracted to me but doesn't like my personality. It's fun to make them hate how much they want to fuck me. I was in a toxic relationship where the guy was controlling and used to scream in my face and stuff like that. My anxiety was absolutely terrible during that time. One time we were arguing and he hits me. It was in the side whether he meant it or not, and I finally had the courage to walk the fuck out. Now I've cut all the toxic people out of my life and have friends that actually care about me and an amazing boyfriend who treats me amazingly. I am also now learning to drive after putting it off for years because I was so scared. It's amazing being able to do what I want whenever I want. This is not a real big story. But I had this boyfriend and he lived a few hours away. I was only 16 and the train was expensive as hell. So all my hard-earned money was spent on the train. After a few months he made me come to him and dumped me. I had to go back crying in the train. I was so sad. After that he kept sending me shit about dating other girls and how he met a cute girl at work. I was devastated. But eventually I met my boyfriend. We've been together for 4.5 years and my ex still has had no good relationship. So I guess it worked out perfectly. I had a boss at a fast food restaurant while I was in uni that just didn't like me. He told me I would never be able to achieve because I wasn't willing to go the extra mile, which meant working off the clock for free. Fast forward 3 years and I still like the food so I go in often to eat. So once he asked me how it was in the real world, to which I told him I didn't want to spoil the surprise for him. Revenge of the Sith. I quit my job on Wednesday after being treated horrible for being off sick. My job paid well but it was literally 8 hours standing outdoors getting shouted at by customers during the pandemic. Also I had this talk on my off day doing overtime and after 5 years of duty. Long story short, I got a new job that pays the same and is home-based. Bless the heating in the winter.